welcome everybody. Very warm welcome to a very before we dive deep into today's topic.
I believe Ms. Sahar ka internet connection drop ho gaya. So
yeah, I think let's wait for her.
Succession planning ke accordingly, we should plan ahead who will be the successor host.
I think let's give her a couple of minutes. I think she might be able to.
We aren't live yet, right? Are we?
We are live.
Okay.
हमारा सबसे बड़ा challenge, we need a better internet systems in our ecosystem.
पाकिस्तान में entrepreneurship को राहत सबसे पहला खतरा stability of internet connection.
That's so true.
Just imagine global audience is waiting for us, and the initial couple of minutes are very crucial when you actually grab the attention of the audience.
It's okay. It's okay. In Pakistan, we're used to such incidents. In fact, one of our topics last week was on how we can provide, or how the government should provide better internet services to its citizens. So anyway, a quick round of introduction. I'll hand over the floor. I think, Junaid, let's start with you.
Right. Thank you so much, Sahar. I think let me just give you a quick intro about myself. My name is Junaid Khan. Currently, I'm working as the Chief Commercial Officer here at Softoo. So Softoo is a Brilliance Group company. We are into IT services, IT consultancy, software solutions. Our primary customer base is in the North America and UK market. If you talk about me personally, I've been in the tech sector, in technology domains, serving in different capacities for the last 20 odd years, and really excited to be here.
Thank you. Sohail sir?
Gee, thank you first of all, CxO, for having all of us. My name is Sohail Sarwar, and I am the founder and CEO of a company named Karpix Consulting. I'm a business coach, management consultant, and a digital strategist. Yes, 3 hats. So I'm been privileged to previously work with leading consulting firms in Pakistan as a transformation consultant. Then had a chance to work with companies like Capgemini and being McKinsey alumni. Puts me in a position where I've been working with not just corporate sector, in the consulting and transformation capacity through technology and strategy, but managed to work with the startup incubators, acceleration partners, and one of them I would like to mention being a lead trainer for a British Council-led incubation center in Pakistan back in 2018 when I was in Pakistan. So alhamdulillah, trying to contribute my part in the ecosystem for the corporates and as well as for the startups.
Thank you. Fahad?
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Fahad, and I'm the CEO of Canada Crime Marketing and Immigration. That's one of the ventures based in Canada I've been there for 23 years, but in business since 2009. Very blessed to work with some of the Fortune 500 companies as my clients, and for business, very blessed, I say, to work with Tony Robbins, travel the world with him, attended part of 16 events, and learned a lot about life, business, and how we can empower people. If I end up in Pakistan, main reason would be a lot of credit goes to him because how he aligns about giving back, and that's why I end up in Pakistan by coming and giving back to the community so we can teach, empower others, not only create more value for people in Pakistan, but at the end now it's resulting in many other businesses. So I have about 8-9 other startups which I'm working on, which I'm coaching / investing into them. So that's a little bit about me, and inshallah we'll talk more. Thank you.
Ji, Arif sir.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Arif, and I'm a CIO in Progatix. Progatix is basically in USA-based company in Pakistan as well. Uh, I'm specialized in infrastructure and cybersecurity. Also, I'm a trainer with Cisco for the last 22 years and coaching and instructing for Cisco networking and Cisco security. Cisco ambassador in Pakistan, Cisco Network Academy ambassador, and Cisco trainer. So, this one, normally we. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you again for joining and a very warm welcome. As I mentioned in my introduction before, I think I was. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Lost you for a bit,
So,
now you're back.
yeah, I have two Wi-Fi, two internet. Hopefully, one of them will work. So, as I mentioned, that in Pakistan, entrepreneurship these days is has gained a lot of momentum, and it actually gained momentum before COVID. I think, if anything, COVID pandemic had a small impact on this sector as it had on other sectors, but I think the other sectors were more impacted compared to the entrepreneurship sector in Pakistan. And it is very heartening to see that there are a lot of you, I think almost all of you mentioned startups, mentoring startups. Pakistan has, and I also keep hearing that Pakistan has every day, I mean, there's thousands of prospective startups. And we all know that not all startups succeed. Some do. They need coaching, mentoring, etc., to take them through. And we'll come to this. We'll discuss if we've had any unicorn success stories, or we'll take a deep dive. But I think what I'd just like to mention, my perspective is that this sector gained momentum. It has consistently been in momentum. There has been an impact, but then that was because of external factors beyond our control. And this sector will continue to be relevant going forward. Traditionally, Pakistan has always been a slightly traditional society. You know, we've been an agriculture society. We had sort of a decade of industrialization, but the entrepreneurship ecosystem, the startup ecosystem, has finally, in the last couple of years, it has become a very attractive, and it has become a sector which everybody discusses every day in their daily lives. Um, Sohail Saab mentioned that he's based out of Pakistan. Fahad, are you in Pakistan, or are you also out of Pakistan currently?
Currently in Pakistan, but I spent half time here, half there.
And half in Canada. Okay. So I think, Junaid, we'll start with you. You've been in the tech sector for a while, and I think the tech sector really, I personally feel, is the, correct me if I'm wrong, it has been the backbone of the entrepreneur ecosystem in Pakistan. What is your thought on this?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you because when we are talking about startup, obviously technology has a lot of role to play in it. And you mentioned COVID, so ever since COVID changed our lives forever, I would say a lot of trends have changed, a lot of consumer behavior has changed over the years, and we see now that a completely new uh, entrepreneurial, I think, a journey is upon us, which is absolutely technology. Whether we talk about e-commerce and quick commerce, whether we talk about disruptions in the health sector via the telemedicine, whether we
Correct.
talk about the disruptions in the edtech sector, education space, it's all been powered by technology. And I think technology is definitely at the backbone of all of this innovation that is going on, be it Pakistan, be it anywhere in the world. But yeah, I would say in Pakistan, that's been the trend so far.
It has been the trend so far, and we also see this trend continuing, especially with the young population we have in Pakistan. We see this trend only continuing in the next, well, in the near future. So, Sohail Saab, coming to you again, from my personal experience, I saw a lot of international investor interest in the startup ecosystem of Pakistan, because Pakistan was seen as the next frontier market. I mean, we saw a lot of interest and a lot of investment in our neighboring countries, including China. And then I mean, it was but natural that Pakistan would have been the next country. I think pandemic, as I mentioned, it had a slight impact because both the investors' country, the foreign investors' country, and Pakistan, both countries were going through a slowdown. But since you're based out of Pakistan, how do you see international investors' interest in the ecosystem in Pakistan?
Well, as rightly mentioned, Pakistan is an emerging market if you compare it with the mature ecosystems like Americas or Canada's or UK. Because the Silicon Valley, the ecosystem started flourishing around 60 years ago. But if we look into the Pakistan scenario, it's been a couple of decades. And even the first Plan 9 incubator was established back in 2013. I was one of those privileged people who received 30 offices within that building, but I had to leave to the Arab Emirates to pursue my consulting passion. So our ecosystem is relatively younger. Yes, investor from outside of Pakistan, like even from China, even from US, the different equity houses, different angel investors, different consortium are looking into the Pakistani entrepreneurial ecosystem as an investment opportunity. Why? Of course, bigger consumer market and having that first mover advantage, because when ecosystem is in the inception phase, there is more opportunity to be the one who can be the frontliner to build that portfolio of product and platforms, especially in Pakistan. So we have seen few success stories. You mentioned about the unicorns. I think so. More than unicorns, we need to be focused on building the nursery at scale, because the substitute products or the services like freelancing, e-commerce, these are all which are probably, in my humble opinion, are a bit of cannibalizing the interest in the entrepreneur itself, because more of them, like many of the thought leaders, do not classify service-based companies as entrepreneurial ventures. One can disagree. I personally do that. Why? Because even if you are a service-based organization, it takes a lot of effort to you establish that value proposition for your customer segment, and it takes human capital and as well as the capital injection to run that venture. So to make it happen, of course, there are multiple sources of finances, friends and family, and few people call it fools 3F. They fund those venture initially, and then your business itself kind of bootstrap by acquisition of the new customers, and then investment should come into the place. Where what I see the trend in Pakistan, startup, even they are in the idea phase, they start looking into the seed
Yes,
funding from
yes,
the incubation. Then they look at their idea to
yes,
IPO is all plan is embedded with the
correct.
funding. Whereas
Yes,
I am personally advocate of doing the bootstrap, doing the what we call early customers or early adapter. Just showcase your proof of concept, get the money from them, and co-create with your customers. So I know I've indirectly covered what you just asked, but I think it's the preface I wanted to set up by addressing the context, by history, and as well as, of course, reflecting on the future of entrepreneurial ecosystem in Pakistan.
you raised some very valid points, particularly the sort of the desire to get funding from a very early stage, even when they have an idea and they're thinking about it. That's a very valid point, and we'll touch upon it in a little more detail. But one question I'll ask from you before I move on to Fahad is, you mentioned starting up an incubation center back in 2013. That's almost a decade ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
What led you, or what was your thought process, or what led you to starting the incubation center back in 2013, when we were still a very much, um, I think our focus as a country was still on more primary sector, the secondary sector. So what encouraged you?
All right, let me clarify. I was part of an incubation center which was led by the government, named Plan 9.
I
We
see. Okay.
personally, as a consulting firm, focus on the niche we call ACCAs, which includes accountant, coaches, consultants, charities, agencies, and then S stands for startups. So we work with incubation centers, acceleration partners, investment wings to make these startups what we call investment ready, which
Right.
means helping them to streamline their business plan, helping them to streamline their pitches, their strategy, personal
Right.
development for founders, and connecting them with the investment wing, which is investor. So
Right.
ideal investor persona. That is our role as a commercial organization to contribute as a knowledge partner, as a catalyst, as an accelerator in the ecosystem itself. So we are not directly
But
incubation
you
centers. We are
okay.
not directly, but we work
I
with the
understand.
incubation centers and pick up the startups from the market, make them ready to launch
Understand.
to the next phase of their
It's
growth.
no, I'm actually pleasantly surprised to hear that our government was thinking about it 10 years ago. But I think we sort of fell a little bit off track because now these days we see a lot of coaches and a lot of consultants mentoring startups. We see a lot of incubation centers that have flourished over the country. I think Fahad, moving on to you, where do you think we or as a country did we face any drawback, because if the government was thinking about this 10 years ago, why haven't we seen this grow as much as one would expect to?
Thank you, Sahar. My perspective might be a lot different from a lot of people because I spent more of my time in Canada and worked with a lot of Western side of the world where the ecosystem is very different from Pakistan. It's not even comparison right now. And I like to compare, but we shouldn't be comparing two things which is not real. But coming to did Pakistan fall behind? Now, I'm an investor too. So if I'm investing, I can invest anywhere in the world. I do have my Canadian passport. I can go to Mexico. I can go XYZ countries and we can find the best and travel, meet the groups and do that. My question is, why should I invest in Pakistan as compared to any other country? The reason is, as we all know, we need more stabilities. That's the biggest thing.
Yes,
Government is thinking, but the execution is very important too.
absolutely.
Sohail and Junaid and all of you guys have spent more time. You will know Pakistan systems better. There might be a lot of new things that happen. I might have not known, but even I've been sitting in with some different groups with a lot of startup pitches, and not even comparing, but we are behind. But can Pakistan grow? Absolutely, yes. We have a lot of raw talent. All we need is more leaders who can bring the exposure. What we are lacking in access is people, if you don't know how the world is working in US, they have not seen it. They don't have that exposure. We need to create that. And there are some people, if they can be held, hold their hand properly, I think they would be. And that's why
Yeah.
I came to Pakistan because I do believe, and I think we need a lot more, like thousands of people who have went outside of Pakistan to come back and start putting a little bit of their time and effort to help some individuals.
I completely agree. I think a lot of us, not just in the entrepreneurship sector, I think in almost every sector, one, if we're asked what problem do we face, or as you mentioned, sitting outside Pakistan, how do others see Pakistan? There's been unfortunately a fairly long period of instability, and hopefully I feel that we're over that period, and just going forward we should expect and hope for stability, and that would encourage both sort of internal and external interest. Arif Saab, moving to you, what has your experience been, and how do you think? I mean, Fahad mentioned political stability, but how do you think the ecosystem in Pakistan, the sort of macro system in Pakistan, can? I mean, again, somebody mentioned training. So as I've mentioned that these young startups need to be nurtured and trained. They need to be ready before they receive funding, because we've also seen that once they receive funding, they then sort of their trajectory goes down. They're not able to manage their business. So, what are your thoughts on this?
I totally agree with Fahad. He's right. The very, the very most important thing is that stability in Pakistan. People don't want to come in Pakistan or invest in Pakistan. Startups, especially, are very risky business. You're going to invest something which is nothing nothing on stable ground. So people need a stable ground on political and on money grounds, so they can invest in properly. I do agree with Fahad over there. Second, your question regarding new ecosystem in Pakistan. Pakistan has many different angles. No? The most important factor that we are missing in our education system is money management. Making money is easy. Managing money is the most difficult part. The whole scenario of ecosystem, what I see, fails when the people cannot manage money. I mean, they can get the funds, they can get from their relatives or somewhere else, but they cannot manage it. That's the most important thing. Management, how they can manage the funds, how they manage the people, what kind of product they should work on it. I mean, these are the most important things from my end. Ecosystem Pakistan, no doubt. Yes.
Please continue. Please finish your sentence.
Like I said, ecosystem Pakistan, there is no doubt it's going to be a flourishing environment. But again, we need leaders out there, like someone said, we need leaders to come in and tell the people, tell the youngsters especially, what they are missing and what they should be focusing on.
No, I completely agree with you that I think this goes back not just to nurture startups, but this goes back to our education system. It needs to be a little more practical than bookish.
Yes.
Very valid point that we need to teach youngsters, we need to teach students how to manage money, because we probably have some of the world's brightest minds and brightest students, and we always see how many Pakistani students excel in their studies. But when it comes to practical implementation and when it comes to either starting their business or working for somebody, they become a little shaky, because in a country like Pakistan where we face external challenges, it's difficult. It perhaps, I mean, even now, some people might argue that it's not even easy to start a business. But if assuming it is, we need to see it through. We need to manage it, manage finances, manage people, manage our customers, and then see it through. Junaid, moving to you, I think we've discussed the challenges we're facing, but let's move to a more positive topic. Are there any success stories that come to your mind? Any success stories, any startups you'd like to mention or highlight in your experience?
Yeah, so I thought the mood of the meeting was getting a bit gloomy. So it's good
Yes.
that you mentioned success stories and you mentioned, some positive vibes. So yeah, I think if you talk about success stories, there is a lot of amazing work that is going on, and I don't measure success just by fundraising. I mean, fundraising is, yeah, it's one of the criterias for success, but I think first of all, the startup culture that we have in Pakistan, a booming young population. The median age is 22. A consumer market of 220 million, and we talked about connectivity. But honestly, if you go 10 years back, we have come leaps and bounds in terms of our connectivity, in terms of mobile penetration. So we see a lot of positive indicators, positive things. I think what our startup co-founders or founders, they need to focus on is, first, they need to see, they don't need to follow the crowd, they don't need to follow the West in everything. We as an economy, we have our own challenges, our own local issues, our own local scenarios, and I would say business cases where a lot can be done. So if you talk about Pakistan, agriculture, for example, agri-tech, there is an amazing, enormous opportunity in agri-tech, where we are now seeing some some really good startups. So for example, if I talk about Farmdar, for example, they are doing some amazing work using imaging technology and predicting the crops productivity and these kind of things. If we talk about health tech, Sehat Kahani comes to mind, led by two brilliant female entrepreneurs,
Yes.
Dr. Sarah. Yeah, they're doing an amazing job. Then there's Bazaar,
Yes.
Then there are Baikia, for example,
Yes.
Zameen.com. These
Yes.
people are doing some amazing work in the delivery space. We have Cheetah, we have Food Panda,
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
Keep Trucking in the logistics space, opened by a Pakistani entrepreneur, but headquartered in the US, and there are so many others. But what I see, because as an organization, we help startups in building their technology. So I have seen personally, I've worked with startups not just in Pakistan but internationally, globally. I've seen startups succeed. I've seen startups fail over the last 10 years. But I think the best thing that I see in Pakistani startups is, number one, resilience,
Yes.
because they are working in a challenging market. They are working against a currency that is always
Yes.
destabilizing. They're working in a,
Yes.
we all talked about the political and economic uncertainties, but I see amazing resilience in these people. And
Yes.
secondly, I think what I see in them is that hunger and that
Yes.
will to fight on, to keep
Yes.
going, and to build something amazing. So we talked about unicorns. Honestly, I'm not. I think the day is not far when we will see, inshallah, unicorns out of Pakistan, because I see it. I say it not because of honestly, because of the policies of our government. I'm afraid there is no positive. I mean, might be some positives are coming out, but very
Yes.
slow and very lackluster. But because of the people of Pakistan, their resilience, their willingness to fight, their willingness to compete, I think that is the shining light that we need to talk more about, and that gives me a lot of energy and it gives me
Yes.
hope.
Yes. No, that's very positive. That's very heartening. And I completely agree. And I'll add one more success story to your list, which is Kist Bazaar by Arif Lakhani. It's
Yeah,
a buy now, pay later. And I think maybe because Arif has been in this field and there is a lot of passion and good faith in him to do something for his country. So and also because he is a mature entrepreneur. So as Sohail mentioned, we see him going in this journey in a very mature manner. I mean, the decisions that he's be taking, starting slow and then gradually scaling and building and capturing the market, that's another success story. And you're absolutely right that there's a lot of hunger in our young entrepreneurs and in the startups. That is maybe because we feel that our time to shine has to come. And even if there are some external factors, we can make that happen. And that is why there's a lot of hunger and passion to prove ourselves because, as somebody mentioned, there's a lot of raw talent. We have a lot of potential. We need to prove ourselves. And even if you're facing setbacks, it is on us to try and scale ourselves and also help and build a community around us because it's never a one
yeah,
man's journey. If we're
yeah,
learning something, we pass it on, we build a community. You
yeah.
also
So
mentioned,
yeah,
yes,
sorry. I just need to apologize because some of these startups, the founders, they are my friends, they are my colleagues. So
yes, I
if I
understand.
missed
That's
out some
okay.
names,
No, no, no,
I
that's okay.
apologize in advance because
No, no, no.
these are the names that I could think of. But yeah, I completely agree. There are so many people doing some
Yeah.
amazing work out there.
Yeah, yeah. And in fact, Baikia or, I mean, Munib has been in this field for years. So he is probably a veteran, so to speak. He is a veteran, so to speak. And I actually mentioned Kis Bazaar and Arif Lakhani because as a lawyer, our law firm advised him. So that was fresh on my mind. And
Yeah,
two questions come up from what you just said. One is the role of female entrepreneurs in Pakistan and the other is the how enabling is the legal and regulatory framework. So I don't know if the speakers would like to address this or if because I am a lawyer and I am female, so maybe I should give my quick thoughts on this. So I mean the floor is open unless somebody wants to start. Maybe I can chip in and then we can sort of carry the discussion forward.
yeah. I think that would be great if you can chip in, and then yeah, I would like to
Okay,
add my 2 cents, but yeah, would
sure.
definitely love to hear from you.
So I think as a female entrepreneur, it again because we are a traditional society, there has been growth, there has been a change in perspective over the years. We have a young population, we are becoming a more open society with a lot of countries, and this is not just limited to Pakistan. I think it's true for developing countries. And again, I'll also come to the social and cultural norms that impact either positively or adversely. But there is a little bit of extra challenge being a female entrepreneur. I think that shouldn't come as a surprise. But I also feel that there is a lot of helping hands around for a female entrepreneur as well. There is, I mean, I do feel there is that added respect if a female is seen to be striving, and I mean, you mentioned two great examples. So I do feel that it's a fairly neutral field, um, especially at, given the generally given the we're in 2023. So I think it's an open field for everybody. As far as legal and regulatory framework is concerned, again, because as a lawyer, I am asked to advise on it. I feel we do have the laws. We have all the laws. It's a matter of implementation. And this is one point where I'd like to mention positively that the government has actually, over the years, implemented laws to contribute to encourage startups, to make it easy for startups. Because if sort of the original laws that applies to big companies or to listed companies, if they apply to startups, it makes it cumbersome. So the government has facilitated startups by introducing laws. On that, I'd like to commend and appreciate our government. So if anybody would like to add to what I said about female entrepreneurship or the legal and regulatory framework. Yes, Junaid.
Yeah. So yeah, again, like you covered both the bases. You being a lawyer and a woman, so we can't challenge what you said. But I think, to be very honest, the message of hope that you gave, I really resonate with that, and I think female entrepreneurs need to come up and they need to play their part. But honestly, I think for that to happen, there is a lot of legwork or a lot of homework that needs to
There
be
is.
done. Yeah, because as a society, as a country, there are lots of obstacles in the path of women. But it's heartening to see somebody like you, for example. I also mentioned Sehat Kani,
Yes.
and there are others as well who are doing some amazing job. I think what we lack in terms of, I wouldn't like to use the term women empowerment because that is such a cliche now. But
Hmm.
I would say enablement of not just women but
Yes.
all entrepreneurs in general. That is
Yeah.
something that lacks in the society a bit. And when you talk
Hmm.
about the regulatory perspective, I think if you talk about especially if you talk to the IT sector, people would always be complaining about that. I mean,
Yes.
we feel that we are not being facilitated in the way
Enough.
that we
Correct.
should be, because honestly, if you talk about some of the other sectors, um, in terms of
That's true.
the capability and in terms of the opportunity that the tech sector
That's
can
true.
offer, I,
That's
I don't think we are being offered
that's
that
true.
kind of a support. For example, if I just give you a couple of examples, we talk about special technology zones being established, but
They
as
haven't
soon
been
as the
implemented.
government goes, we
Yeah.
don't know where these zones go. Special
Yeah.
economic zones, these kind of things, they just come and go because of
Yeah.
a lack of continuity in policies,
Exactly.
because of lack
Exactly.
of a political will at the very top. I think we are suffering. Whether it's women into entrepreneurs, whether it's entrepreneurship in
Regulatory.
general.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think a lot needs to be done in that regard.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. And in fact, you mentioned tech sector. I've also heard complaints from the tech sector that they are not enabled enough given the potential there is. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I've always been reading about special economic zone laws and regulations, but they're not implemented because there's no continuity, there's no stability. But I do feel, as far as women, and Sultab, I'll come to you. As far as women empowerment is concerned, I think over the last few years, in the last decade, there has been a shift. So 10 years ago, I thought, I felt that the ecosystem wasn't as enabling or inclusive. But now, especially, and again, I think as a country now, we're moving to a two-income household concept. Traditionally, we've been, a one-income household where the man earns, but now with either with growing inflation or with women, just the change in perspective. I feel that with the two income household perspective gaining momentum, a lot of, especially social media, a lot of women are entering this sector from either the comfort of their homes or together with their friends. So we're seeing that positive development. And hopefully, with the continuity and stability we're expecting from our government in the future, we will also see a regulatory environment which is enabling. So, Ilsab, coming to you, how do you feel cultural and social norms and factors in Pakistan impact this ecosystem?
Well, political, social, economic, legal, technological, all those pestle factors. Of course, we can talk a lot about that, but of course, just to sparkle the positivity in the room and to the listeners, इकबाल का एक शेर कहना चाहूंगा कि नहीं है ना उम्मीद इकबाल अपने कश्ते वैरा से, जरा नम हो तो ये मट्टी बड़ी जरखेज है साकी, और नए अंसर नहीं आते चमन में गुल खिलाने को, यही मट्टी संवरती है, यही जर्रे उभरते हैं. Inshallah, we are on our way to greatness. That's what I personally believe. We are a younger population, and now we are growing mid-age population where people like me and Fahad, who are at the stage where they have spent 15 to 20 years of their life, they are full of energy, they have adequate experience to contribute to the society as a mentor, as an evangelist, as a contributor to the existing ecosystem. So political instability and everything, that's all there. We cannot deny those facts. But what I personally believe, ecosystem should be inclusive, like it should not have impact, although it does have, it should not have impact on the the ecosystem. How it is possible? By making the autonomous bodies which are not directly influential by, and it's a wish list, I know, it's like everybody says about it, but practically it's really hard to achieve that goal. But if we are able to achieve that, like our neighborhood, results will be same. This problem or fostering the ecosystem is new to us, not new to the world has been there, done that. So there are proven systems, methods, models to change that mindset, to change that culture, to change that capacity building and skill set deficit, to equip people with that tool set and leveraging the power of that data set. Everything is literally there. As Fahad mentioned earlier about Tony Robbins, I've been privileged to be one of his students. He's my business coach, Dean Graziosi and Ryan Levesque and other big gurus in the personal development space, in the business coaching. And similarly, in the startup ecosystem, we need Peter Thiels of Pakistan, who are actually, really sitting with the startups, not just giving them the money, but the smart money. We need more and more accountability buddies in the startup huddle rooms, where it's not just like reporting, but it is the synthesis, is the actual contribution which they are bringing, and the fresh pair of ears and eyes, like Fahad and me, of course, sitting outside of the Pakistan, being into Middle East and around the world. So we are bringing that fresh perspective, those benchmarks. I agree, it's not fair to compare those two ecosystems, but what I see, we can certainly bring those ideas, what we call globalization. We don't need to literally innovate. We don't need to innovate. We need to emulate before we innovate. We just need to understand what are the best practices around the world and just implement those best practices in our ecosystem. You will see better, cultural shift, better mindset. And you mentioned about the woman empowerment. I would love to use this word and actually tag this with the positivity that everybody should resonate, that we as a man stand right next to our women, to empower them, to help them, to get them clarity, to overcome their challenges. Like my company's second pillar is my sister. who left her job from one of the largest technology company in Pakistan, and I left from the best consulting, and we both started our company. And now, like country's largest microfinance trusted us as a transformation partner. So I think this is like a humble success story, where it's not just not me, but the woman leadership in my company helped me to achieve what I couldn't imagine to achieve.
Yes.
So women has, I think, equal role to participate. We need to welcome them with the open heart, and we need to foster those evangelism. Basically, we need more women evangelists in the country, who should spread this message, give the hope to the woman, and also giving to the message to the men that women are as important as the men, as building block of the economy and the human race overall. So my take on the woman empowerment, my take on the political side, and my take on the capacity building itself. And last thing what I would like to mention is really leverage the brains outside of Pakistan. Please do engage. We are more than happy to help our people. Do not neglect this talent pool. We have good success story, like we have mentioned so many, but Munis Rahman, who came back, he has an option to stay in Silicon Valley and keep doing what he was doing over there. But of course, then Dr. Umar Saif, and there are so many other people who are Wapistani. They are overseas Pakistani, came back, and literally inside every Pakistani who is sitting in
There is a
प्यारे
desire.
गैर उनके अंदर होता है कि यार हम वापस जाएं. But yeah, I think it's again a separate discussion altogether. But yeah, just my 2 cents. Just please do collaborate. Don't work in isolation. Otherwise, you only know what you know. But people
Yes.
like us, with the fresh pair of air and eyes, can bring for a fresh perspective and value to the table.
Yes. You mentioned, thank you. You've mentioned a very valid points, equal partnership, equitable partnership. I think we shouldn't even be thinking of, inclusive environment. I think we shouldn't even be thinking of including, this should be the norm. And you mentioned that there have been a lot of Pakistanis. Also, what we've been seeing lately is brain drain. But then, there are some people who have stayed back because they feel that they can contribute, and they will continue to contribute to Pakistan. They haven't left. Even if they have the option, they haven't left. Fahad, coming to you, can you recommend for, because I'm sure a lot of startups are listening to us, a lot of young entrepreneurs are listening to us. Can you recommend some programs, or just with your fresh perspective, with your eyes and ears, can you recommend something or any advice to the startups who are listening?
Sure. One thing we were talking earlier was Pakistan, which I have noticed we are a lot more focused on traditional education, business plans, traditional, like too much documentation, paperwork, just from our government to every level. We just need more paper, but less work. Rather than just learning about technicalities, I think more people, what they need to spend on is on their mindset. I do spend a lot of time on mindset, and even working with Tony Robbins and so many other successful millionaires in his group, everything falls and rise on the psychology of a leader. If this thing is not strong enough, no matter how much money they get, you can give them $1 million, they will blow it up, because the thing is they don't have the solid, resilient mind. When I started my first business in Canada, I had to sell door to door. At minus 30 degrees Celsius, you're going from one door to another door selling internet and TV products. I've sold at minus 48 degrees Celsius. People
Yes.
think going outside, being in Canada, US, it's easier. No, there are challenges for every economy, every
Yes.
country, every place, every business. The only reason you will win is how resilient and how strong you are. So we need to take some time to work on our mind, how strong it is,
Absolutely.
how resilient it is. And there is a TED talk. It's called Grit Factor, GRIT Factor. Very solid information where it will give you like what are the key points, like how are you going to stand through the storm. And business startup is more weak against the storm as compared to a solid company which has been in 10, 5, 20 years. So how are you going to build those walls, those barriers? That's the biggest thing. Any things I can recommend, go look at, again, I tell people ask me, Fahad, why we go to these so many conferences in Pakistan and people are listening to third or fourth hand information in Urdu. And I ask some of my students, I go, like they want to have pictures and XYZ. I ask, do you understand English? They're like, yeah. Can you read it? Yep. Can you understand it? Yep. Look, why are you sitting here listening to something that is like 5 years outdated, where you can go to the best people on the world? If you want to access the knowledge, it's available. Yes, I had resources spent $300,000 plus to learn from Tony Robbins, but not everybody has that. If you really want to learn, can you go on YouTube? Can you go out to Sohail by Junaid by people who are willing to help? I made a post a couple of days ago. I'm going to find 100 startups in Pakistan. I'm going to see who are good, who I can work with. Not only I'm going to invest on their idea. Idea is not going to make you the money. I'm investing on a team. If tomorrow, I use the hard word, stuff happens, are you going to quit and go do 9 to 5 job, or are you going to put your money and soul and sweat and work behind it? I'm investing into resilient minds, not in just the idea. In Pakistan, every dinner I'm sitting, you listen to new idea. Every university canteen, you'll be listening to new business idea. Oh, bhai, let's go create this. Creating, talking is very easy. Are you going to really go and do it? I was coaching one of the young startups they were from Korea. They reached out. My job with them was to coach them, guide them on a few things. And I met them at JetX. They were there. They ended up getting $1.5 million. Is that going to make a huge difference into their business? Probably no, but they are working in some healthcare industry, and they're going to do very good. They only give up 10% of their company. Now, where to learn? There's so much out there. My only thing is, I'm not going to give you the names to follow. I'm going to give you one thing. Whoever you're going to listen to, do your research. Don't click on the clickbaits. There's enough free knowledge. Go to YouTube, go to other resources, audit them. If that individual aligns with your values, where you want to be, then go listen and then spend some money. Stop coming with this, oh, I spent $500 and I lost $500. Stop complaining. We say suck it up and do better research rather than losing $5 million later.
Absolutely, there is no shortcut to success. There needs to be a lot of hard work, and I think Junaid mentioned this initially, that there has been, as far as technology and availability of resources is concerned, leaps and bounds. There has been, everything is available to us. We just need to constantly, and see, the other thing is that there needs to be that hunger to learn. Sure, starting your business, making money, but there needs to be a continuous hunger to learn. As Sohail said, not work in isolation. Arif sir, coming to you, what trends do you see in the entrepreneurship sector in Pakistan?
Let me just get one point from you. Women entrepreneurship. What I see in women mostly, they are shy. They don't ask. They don't tell. That's the biggest problem. Just before our meeting, I was on a call with an old friend of mine, a female. She's a mother of 3, and she was asking me she's going to start a new business, and she was asking me how can she do it and how she manage it. And her husband was supporting her. I mean, that's the good thing in Pakistan. People are there to help you out. The only thing that I see from women end is that they don't ask questions. They are very shy. They hesitate. They don't take the challenge. It's what you can say, environmental factor, our traditional factors over here.
Yes.
That's a big thing that mostly the women sector is not working. Second, the women sector, I was in Karachi Chamber of Commerce, and we have a complete women community over there. I don't see women working for women. They don't support that, as they talk too much, but they actually don't support it. So these two factors are what I see in women entrepreneurship. Latest trend, yes, latest trend. Pakistan in latest trends are very, very behind, because in education sector, what the student is learning is not up to the date or up to the mark. They don't see the latest technology. The most important thing from the basic, if you want to get the country going in the technology sector, we should be focusing on new technology in the university level. From there, only there, we can make the big change. One my point is the free education providing in Karachi, especially the governor program or any other program. I think it's not useful enough. It won't get such big results in ecosystem, especially in startup, especially. It's just a hype or just a cheap way of promotion. The same thing, the same education which are being provided over there should be provided to the university professors, university teachers, schools teachers, college teachers. They can provide that education, that new technology throughout the year. It's not one session or 1 month course. They will provide that technology course throughout the year, and that will develop new students. That will give new hope to the new generation.
That's true. I think one common point that all of us has mentioned is that there needs to be a change and improvement in our education system as well. In fact, there needs to be a collaboration between our educational institutes and various sectors. So, as Sohail mentioned, that all of us are brimming with a lot of energy. We have experience. We started working when we were, fairly young, and as Fahad said, we literally in what -48 or in different challenging environment. We walked so everybody hopefully could run. There needs to be that imparting of knowledge and experience from us to the upcoming generation. We're also sort of nearing our 1 hour slot, so I just take some I think last couple of questions. Collaboration between educational institutes and mentors or coaches who have that experience will I personally feel that the challenge here would be the openness and the willingness and the readiness of educational institutes to bring a change, because the education sector in Pakistan, I feel, is slightly primitive in the sense that we follow a curriculum, and we haven't seen a lot of drastic changes in the education system. We have some brilliant minds, some brilliant students, but I think initially, Junaid, I think it was you mentioned that, or Arif Saab, that we also need to teach them how to manage money and how to run businesses. How and do you think anytime soon that change can come? Can we inculcate that change in education institutes? It's an open question for everybody, whoever likes to answer.
So I would like to contribute on this one because I'm been in part of academia as well, as part of business school as a faculty by choice, where I thought that somebody from industry should go into the classroom and teach the future business leaders that what industry actually need. I like the comment which Fahad just posted in the private chat, that we need change in the education system. We need revolution in it.
Exactly.
For me, revolution will be changing the curriculum as well as the pedagogy, which means
Yes.
curriculum innovation, what we teach and how we teach it. So even the corporate leaders should go more often to the business schools, to the technology faculties, and tell them, sit with the professors, that what industry actually need. So efforts are there to bridge the gap between industry and academia, but I think even in this startup culture, corporate leadership be sitting more with the startups, tell them that what they need to grow at a level, because startup has a dream to grow to a enterprise one day, or a performance business or a lifestyle business, depending upon the entrepreneurial goals. So one position is where they are, one position is where they want to be, and there is a difference between point A to point B. So somebody who is already sitting at point B should sit with the person at point A, so they can tell them how the journey look like so they can make less mistakes. You mentioned there is no shortcut of success, but I believe learning from other is a shortcut for success. Rather than trying to experiment 20 years of precious your life and chances are you will give up,
Agree,
versus
agree.
sit with somebody who has been there, done that several times. They will tell you what to do, what not to do, and there are best of the best out there on a click of button. As Fahad mentioned, follow somebody who resonates with your value, to whom you see as future you. So their past should look like your future. So you will definitely find those people and design your own trajectory to under the supervision of some mentor. I must say, we all want success, but there is a price you need to pay, and the price is 100% attention and integrity.
Yes.
राधे राधे हर कोई आखे मैं भी आखां राधे बिन मुर्शिद तेनु राह नहीं लभना रुल मरसे विच राधे. So pick up a mentor in your life, understand your inner call, and follow the journey along through that curriculum they set so far for you and the way they teach you. So that's how convergence in the education ecosystem should be, should come within actually. Within those academic circle, within those corporate circles, more convergence, more collaboration, and that's the revolution definition from my side, just to
Sahar, if
support
I can, yeah, if I can pitch in, सोहेल साहब, आपके शेर को फिर शेर से ही जवाब देते हैं कि इकबाल तो कहते हैं कि खिरद को गुलामी से आज़ाद कर, जवानों को पीरों का उस्ताद कर. तो आई थिंक कि जो इसमें थोड़ा सा मुझे जो नज़र आता है वो ये है कि विद एज सर्टेनली एंड एक्सपीरियंस आपके अंदर एक मैच्योरिटी आती है, लेकिन जो ज़ील और जो एक एनर्जी होती है यूथ के अंदर, आई थिंक उसकी एक अपनी ही बात है. और अगर इसको दोनों को मिक्स कर दिया जाए और दोनों को एक मर्ज कर दिया जाए तो जो कॉम्बिनेशन इससे निकलेगा, आई थिंक दैट वुड बी अमेजिंग. जो यूथ की एनर्जी को एक स्टीयरिंग या एक डायरेक्शन अगर दे दी जाए ना, I think that can be really amazing. So for example, I being a NUST alumni, I had the privilege of going back to NUST last week to address some of the young amazing minds, the undergrads of NUST over there. और उनसे जब मैंने उनसे कहा एक शो ऑफ हैंड्स करें कि who want to be an entrepreneur, तो तकरीबन कोई 70-80% लोगों के they just raised their hands. My next question was, what is an entrepreneur? So barely there was a hand raised. So our kids, जो बच्चे हैं उनके अंदर, they want to do something great, they want to excel, but they need a lot of mentorship and a lot of वो. तो मेरे ख्याल में उनकी क्रिएटिविटी को कर्ब किए बगैर, उनके आइडियाज पर बंदिशें लगाए बगैर अगर उनको एक स्टीयरिंग और एक मेंटरशिप दी जाए, तो आई थिंक दैट वुड बी द आइडियल कॉम्बिनेशन.
I agree. Winning combination, creativity और वो जो dynamism और passion है, combine that with जो experience और maturity है. सोहेल साहब, आपने you highlighted, मैंने mention किया कि there's no shortcut to success, but मैंने ये भी कहा था कि we walk so people could run. तो हमारे साथ बैठ के वो हमसे सीखें. फहद और आरिफ साहब, any parting words?
Sure. I'll just say quickly, give something for startups. Startups are people who are already running a business, whatever you want to name it. Very important. Know your why. There's a very important book by Simon Sinek. You need to know why you're going in the business. If it's just for money, maybe when the things get tougher, you will quit. Your why needs to be big enough. If it's not, you will suffer in the long run. One storm and you're gone. Second thing, ask some of your questions. Questions are the answers. In my coaching, most of the times when I'm working, any startup I am doing or anything, we always ask a question: how am I adding more value than anybody else? What are we doing different?
Absolutely.
How am I adding more value than anybody else?
Absolutely.
Secondly, then you need to know who is your ideal customer. I was at JetX. I asked so many people, so who's your ideal customer? They say, everyone. I feel like hitting my head against the wall. Everyone is not your customer. Who will be your ideal customer? Who will buy from you when price is not an issue? Who will come to you? Need to know. And last, What is your irresistible offer? What offer are you giving? Which people can't say no to you? And it is not the price. If you say, oh, I'm going to give this banana for $1 instead of 10, that's not the irresistible offer. It needs to be integrated with your value and your whys and everything. And that's
What
the
you're
only way you will be
bringing to the
successful.
table. Yes.
Absolutely. So in Pakistan, we always think price is always the thing we can compete on. You are giving something for $1, I'll come for 90 cents tomorrow, and somebody will go to you. Those customers are very hard. It costs you too much money to acquire, and they're not going to stay with you. So that's some of the things I want to give. And rest, thank you so much.
Thank you. Artsa, would you like to add anything?
No.
Okay, so I think we're just over the 1 hour. Sorry.
Just a quick one. What just Fahad said. Basically, I segment in 5 ways, like how to attract your customer. That your message is coming from your market, not your mind. And once customer is attracted, then of course, enrolling them or converting them into paying customer by putting the right value proposition, and then third part is delivering the transformation that you promised in the value proposition. And then, of course, scaling that to the level through the use of technology, through the use of model, which is bound to work because you have deeper into the vertical of yours, which you are choosing as a ideal customer persona. And last but not the least, of course, that irresistible offer stays on top of everything what we do, not in just the product, platform, services, even in the non-profit sector. So if you are irresistible in your message, in your offer, in your compelling proposition, I think that's where the winning game is for startups, for the enterprises, and for everyone who is looking to grow in this competitive world.
And also we need to G.
Just my few points for the startups. First thing, dream big. Second, have faith. Third, fight crazy. And fourth, the most important, deliver what you committed. That's it.
Very important. I think the last point is extremely important. And as Fahad said, we need a revolution in our education system, not just a change. But Fahad, I was hesitant to use the word revolution because it seemed a little daunting. That's why I said it's slightly primitive. So again, thank you very much, all of you. I feel we've had a very insightful discussion. I hope the startups and the entrepreneurs, or generally people who are listening to us, have found it to be an interesting discussion as well. Thank you again, and I will just leave the studio. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.